All right. Good day, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of the podcast. And on today's episode, I have just myself in the studio, and I'll be talking more about building resilience in agricultural practice. And it's going to be an interesting time. I think it's been a while that I came up here and just shared by myself without having a guest. But definitely the next episode, we're going to have a guest with us in the studio. So we'll just delve right into the heart of the conversation. Yes, we'll just delve into right into the heart of the conversation. So today we're talking about building resilience in agricultural practice. And if there's anything that you need to understand about the word resilience, you typically think about it from, a standpoint of, sort of being very persistent, being very diligent. Um, I would like to call it bounce back ability, the ability to be able to sort of bounce back after every seemingly challenge or situation. And trust me, agriculture in itself, it's one profession that I would say you need a lot of patience capital, you need a lot of diligence, you need a lot of resilience to be able to thrive within the agricultural sector. That's something that you don't want to take for granted by any means or any chance. It's something you don't want to take for granted. So it's a requisite to be resilient as long as agriculture is evolved is is a requisite thing um for you to be diligent or resolute as long as agriculture is involved. So I'm going to share my slides, and as I share the slides, I'm going to also sort of talk through the slide, or what I would like to say, walk through the slides, right? So now I'm going to share my slides now. Um, so I'm not certain if you can see my slides. Let me try to increase my screen. So it's just going to be my slides on the screen. All right. Oh wait, yeah. I hope everyone should be able to definitely see my slides. Okay, so agriculture is Africa's greatest opportunity. Agriculture is Africa's greatest opportunity. And why do I say that? It's because the future belongs to people who can solve problems, not people who simply possess information. Yeah. So within the agricultural space or the agricultural practice, there's so many challenges within the space, and definitely opportunities will always go to the person that is able to just sort of look beyond just the seemingly challenges and is able to come up with solutions, right? Solutions. And like most persons will say to you, for every single time where there is a problem, where there is a challenge, it's an opportunity. For every single time where there is a problem or where there is a challenge, is an opportunity to create it's an opportunity to create wealth for yourself, especially if you're able to sort of navigate it. It's an opportunity to create wealth for yourself, especially if you're able to sort of navigate it, right? And so, why is this important? Even in our conversation today, why is this very important? It's important because for decades, agriculture has been presented to young people as simply farming. And that's one of the notions I try to kick against, which is agriculture is beyond farming. Today, agriculture has become one of the world's largest innovation ecosystem, where artificial intelligence can meet food production, climate technology can meet sustainability, finance can meet smallholder farmers, biotechnology can meet nutrition, data can meet decision making, and media can meet agricultural education. So the question is no longer, do you want to be a farmer? The better question, right? The better question is, what problems in agriculture do you want to solve? What problem in agriculture do you want to solve? And I know that you might be thinking, we're talking about conversation today is about building resilience in agricultural practice. So why are we talking about the opportunities? Because for you to stay resilient or stay committed to some, especially agriculture or any endeavor in life, it has to be something that you are keen about. It has to be something that you are convinced about. It has to be something that you have conviction for. Because why that is important is there will always be times where challenges will come up. And so, if you've not gotten to the point where you've made those resolutions, you would not be able to stick with it. So, that's why I'm starting out these conversations with just trying to help us, my viewers, you, my listeners today, sort of see that agriculture in itself, it's a space, it's an ecosystem that has so much vast opportunity that you can definitely tap into, so that as you start, providing solutions, right, to the various challenges that might be within the ecosystem, you are resilient in your practice, because challenges will come. Challenges is definitely a part of, life. It's part of our life's journey. Challenges will definitely sort of come. So why agriculture? Why agriculture is Africa's greatest opportunity? I know that's something you might be thinking right now in your mind. Why is agriculture sort of Africa's, greatest opportunity? It is Africa's greatest opportunity. Oh, okay, I think I should pull my screen back so you guys can see my screen. See the slides better and not just me. Um, if you have any questions, feel free to drop the questions in the chat box. I would be able to answer those questions. Okay, let me just put just my slides on the screen. Fantastic. So why is agriculture Africa's greatest opportunity? Why exactly is that? I know it's something that you're wondering, right? Um, how different groups see agriculture, right? How different groups see agriculture. Most people see agriculture as just food, investments where they can just put money and invest into like production or processing or distribution, right? Most people see agriculture as food. Investors see it as markets. The government sees it as just food security. Young people see it as just opportunity. But the truth is, agriculture contributes billions of dollars annually across African economy. Yet, many opportunity remains untapped because attention is often focused on only a primarily production, right? Remember, our topic today is still building resilience in agricultural practice. And why am I starting out from this point is because I want to help you see that way beyond what you are aware of, there's so many opportunities that is already some of the things you might have proclivities towards, or some of the things that you're already keen about, that you can then sort of just tap into that, as against trying to go, learn or do something different that makes it very hard for you to stay on track, especially when it becomes really hard or demanding, right? And so problems usually create businesses. For every time there is a problem, if you are someone that is very vigilant, someone that is very proactive, someone that likes to take initiative, you definitely understand that problems are opportunities in disguise. That's one thing you have to definitely understand, that problems are opportunity in disguise, right? And so what are some of the problems that are already within the space? Every challenge in agricultural value chain presents a business opportunity, and that's something you must really understand. The following are areas that some of them are common, some of them are not common, some of them a lot of people have already started doing tremendous works along those areas, but some of those areas have not been tapped yet. One of which is, reducing waste, right? Which is something that we're sort of really keen about at Africa Integrative Agriculture Network. We're really keen about regenerative agriculture and as well as circular economy, right? There are also people that are very keen about post-harvest loss, right? It's like when you've harvested losses, right? So waste reduction is an area where there's possibility for business there. improve logistics, the distribution, right? There's also a challenge there as well. Increasing yields, that's where like regenerative agriculture comes in. There's a challenge there as well. Digital advisory services, right? There's a challenge there. So just put it in your mind. For every place you're thinking of a challenge, that's a possible business opportunity, right? And remember, like I said, there's some of the areas that you already, possibly you, my listeners today, are already working in those areas, but you don't even know that, oh, that's also something possible that you could sort of channel that skill or leverage on that skill within the agricultural ecosystem, right? So there's digital advisory and services, there's climate adaptation, there's access to finance. Finance in every business, there's always finance, you always need money to maybe do different things within the business, right? There's also carbon markets. This is something that is an emerging area as well. It's not so popular yet, but it's also something. There's precision agriculture. This is something that has been around for a couple of years now, particularly in Nigeria and also in Africa as well. But it has not been widespread, just like the way people just know about animal rearing, which is like animal husbandry or fishery or even crop production, right? But there's that as well. There's traceability, right? There's traceability and there's value add. Value addition is processing. How do we take a produce and turn that produce to multiple products, right? And people already do this, but sometimes it's already done in relatively minimal scale, right? It's already done in relatively minimal scale. And so that's also an opportunity area that you can look at. So this is one thing I want you to take down. Problem creates businesses and business grow wealth. Problem create businesses and businesses grow wealth. What's the main reason of all of us doing whatever it is that we're doing? As much as we want to be able to, okay, I can't speak for you, but I can speak for myself. As much as I want to be able to create impact, as much as I want to be able to create influence, I want to be able to also create income, right? And so problem is an opportunity to achieve those three aims. Regardless, if you critically look at it, there's always a silver lining with every challenge that presents itself to you. So my next point, I'll go to the next slide now. So the next slide says agriculture creates thousands of careers. I know that this sounds very, let's put it this way. Let me show my face a bit. Let me reduce it. So when it says, oh, agriculture produce thousands of careers, right? If it's like thousands, okay, I only know fishery, I only know piggery, I only know let's say crop production, I only know but circular economy or recycling, but there's so much. Personally, I like to think that agriculture is the lifeblood of the economy. And I like to think about it, and I talked a lot about this in my book, Agriculture Beyond Farming. I like to think of it that regardless of whatever it is that you do, there's always an opportunity for you within agriculture. Regardless of what it is that you do, there's opportunity for you in agriculture. So agriculture creates thousands of career. Maybe I'll just exaggerate it, but there's a lot of careers within it. And I'm going to be speaking to them based off of categories at this point. So, what are they? Most people who when asked about careers in agriculture, they mention just a couple of things that they're already aware of, maybe like agronomy, fishery, poultry, those kinds of things. But agriculture in itself has a lot of careers under them. And here I grouped them into six major parts, right? There's the technology part of it, there's the business part of it, there's the finance part of it, there's a communication part of it, there's a sustainability part of it, and there's also the manufacturing part of it. There's even a part that I did not even state here, which is like the exportation part of it, right? But I'm just going to talk about these six main categories. And under the six main categories, I'm also sort of going to be highlighting some of the major parts within it, career path within it. First of all, for technology, there's an opportunity for you to be an AI engineer. Like I was at a conference held in my state this past weekend, Edo Youth Impact Forum, right? And someone was talking to me about agriculture, like, oh, like you guys don't use tech in agriculture, like you guys are not building platforms. Or like in agriculture, technology in itself is not the main start point. Technology is an enabler. It's not the start point. It's not the start point, right? So when it comes to technologies, that whatever it is that you found out as a problem that you want to solve, you've understood the problem, and then you then use technology to either amplify or scale the solutions that you've been able to sort of birth by just understanding the problem, right? So as regards technology, there is there's an opportunity for you to be like an AI engineer, there's opportunity for you to be a software developer, which is already something that is already in existence. But the thing is, now you are now taking that skill set and then applying it to different facets of agriculture, right? There's data science, there's robotic engineering, there's drone operators, right? Data science, let me tell you, data is the lifeblood of every business, right? You want to be able to understand information and then know how to make decisions. That's why data is important. You want to be able to understand information and then make business decisions that will be great for your business. Robotic engineering, trust me, in precision agriculture, uh there's a lot of, I won't for lack of, there's a lot of engineering work that has to go around it as well. So you have to be at, can we develop specific robots or machines to be able to do those kinds of things, right? um for also area precision, like drone operators. Before now, um without the advent of like drones, it could take a person, let's say a plot of land could invariably take a maybe a plot of land could take a person maybe like 5 hours to maybe apply fungicide, herbicide, or pesticide, or even some kinds of fertilizer, just using the knapsack, right? But with drones, you're able to do that in less than an hour or max an hour. So you see a lot of productivity then occurs, because what would have taken you 5 to 6 hours, you can then do that in 5 minutes. That's technology. That's and it's an enabler. Remember I said that, right? GPS speculation, land measurement is also technology as well. If you had seen it, if back in the day, if you see some surveyors, they'll carry like their ranging pole, their compass, their tapes to like measure the plots. But now there are also like gadgets that are technologically enabled that will allow you to do that in such a record time that you don't have to spend weeks or days, depending on how large the plot of land is, whether it's hectares or acres. You could do that in relatively a couple of hours and you're done, right? Software development. There's a guy that reached out to me on LinkedIn. He's not even an agricultural person, but he's an engineer though. He was telling me about the fact that he was telling me about the fact that he had developed a software that if you take your phone and just scan, take your phone and scan like a leaf, right? That software is able to tell what pathogen or what fungi or what nematode, in quotes, is affecting that plant, right? So that's technology that has been utilized there to solve that problem, right? I'm saying all this to help you understand that knowing your strength and then playing towards it helps you be resilient in agricultural practice. So you don't if you're already someone that is very technologically inclined, you already understand a lot as regards agriculture. You already understand a lot around technology. You don't have any business trying to say you want to go into production. You could definitely just leverage your understanding of technology to solve a pertinent problem you've observed, right? And that's why I'm helping you understand that we're still basically talking about building resilience in agricultural practice. Because regardless of the occupation or the career path you choose, whether agriculture or not, there will definitely be challenges. But what makes it worthwhile? It's because it's something that you have conviction for. Next, so let's now talk about the business part of it. Remember, I told you guys I'm going to talk about six main broad parts of it, and these are some of the things I also shared in my book, Agriculture Beyond Farming. Next is business, right? So what's business? In business, you can be a product manager, you can be an operations manager, you can be a supply chain manager, you can be a procurement, manager, and you can also be a sales professional. A sales professional. You know why I like this part? See, regardless of the profession or the career that you are in, if you don't understand the business side of it, you would not necessarily make so much money, because whether you're selling goods or you're selling services, you have to be able to sell to make money. You have to be able to. And when you think about sales, don't think of it as a, like, people, when some people hear sales, they are quick to be very cringy about it, like, oh my god, I can't sell, oh my god. When some people hear about sales, they are very quick to, when they hear about, oh, I've moved my slides too forward. Okay, so when so many people hear about sales, they're very quick to become very cringy, like, oh my god, I can't sell, I can't sell. No, sales is just you uncovering the value of your goods or your service that you have to offer, and then give people the opportunity to make a buying decision from you. Give them reasons why they should buy from you and not someone else. You're helping them solve the problem they already have. You're just helping them know that, oh, you're the best person to do this business with. That's it. That's pretty much it. There's nothing else. That's it. It. Right? And so there's product manager. So product is like, if particularly whether you're selling goods or you're selling services, there's product. It's like you've arranged a package. Package doesn't necessarily mean like you've put something together. It can be a service, it can be an actual item, but you've designed it in a way that it appeals or it meets to the needs of your audience, or of your clients, or of your customers, the people that you're doing business because, like, to solve their problems, right? So even in agriculture, right, you see, okay, there's this guy, what's his name? He has this very nice name, but he lives in the north, Benue. He's a vet doctor. I've had him on my podcast one time. So he's a vet doctor, but he's also into poultry, right? There are days on his WhatsApp status I see him doing some really interesting combos in his sales, right? He would say one chicken drumstick, one chicken wing, one gizzard, and one chicken breast is like 3,500, right? And then the full chicken in itself is like 7,500, right? There's a name, he calls it different names, but it's still selling chicken. Whatever that is, that's also product, because he has. So if you don't have the money of 7,500 to buy the entire full chicken, you can buy one drumstick, one chicken breast, one chicken wing, one chicken gizzard, packed together as 3,000 or 3,500, right? That's products. So you've arranged your goods in different cadence, that if a person does not have money to do this, they can do this. That's also agriculture, but that's also business, the business side of it. Do you understand me? That's also the business side of it. So I told you before, there's product manager, there's sales professionals, there's operations. Operations is basically, every business has an operator. Operator is the person that runs the day-to-day activity of the business. So you might not be someone that's really good with maybe people management, which is like human resource, but you can definitely run the processes, the systems that ensures continuity of exceptional service for the business. That's an opportunity there, right? That's an opportunity there. So I'll try to move fast, or should I keep going bit by bit? I'll try to move fast anyways. The next there is finance, right? So in finance, there is venture capital, there's carbon finance, there's impact investment. Agricultural investment, to be honest, is one investment that requires a lot of patience capital. So what does that mean in essence? What is the meaning of patience capital? Patience capital in agriculture simply speaks of the fact that, unlike some business, when you do your business plan, you can project that, oh, by so and so time, you'll be able to recoup this amount, you break even, then you start making profit. Sometimes in agriculture, it's not that way. So that's why I said in agriculture, you definitely need a lot of patience capital. You definitely need a lot of patience capital. So there's impact financing. So impact investors are people that they want to make profits off of the investments that they are making in any business. However, they are more concerned about, more or less, I like to put it like legacy. They are more concerned about impacting people's life, helping people, create opportunity for people, as much as they are keen about making profit. But venture capitalists, trust me, they are only interested about making profits, right? They don't care about impact. So there's that as well as regards financing in agriculture, right? So let move to the next one, communications, which is under what it is that I'm currently doing. And it's been interesting to know that I have a background in agricultural extension and services, right? So agricultural economics and extension services. So typically I'm doing the communication part of agriculture, because ordinarily extension people are the people that takes like the research from institutes or from the Ministry of Agriculture, or and then take to the rural farmers, also get feedback from them, and then take those research back to the institute, so that so co hand in hand. But the extension guy is like the middle person, like that bridge, right? So in communication part of agriculture, there's journalism, there's content creation, there's podcast, which is something like what we're doing right now, there's community management, and there's social media management. Because regardless of whatever it is that you're doing in this era, you have to be able to have digital footprints that what you're doing uh is viable. There has to be very digital footprints for that. Then there's sustainability as well. So um carbon credit specialists, and this is also like an emerging area, right? It's already in Europe, they've been doing that for maybe close to 2 decades, but here in Africa, it's something that we're beginning to sort of embrace more. There's carbon credit specialist, there's circular economics expert, which is one of the areas that AIAN has chosen to sort of focus on. There's also climate consultant, as most people in on LinkedIn, they're very keen about this area as well. And another emerging area, it has been there, for a while, but it's not so talked about as much as climate change. Climate change has been, the main subject of discourse in the last 5 to 7 years, is ESG, environment and governance practices, ESG specialist as well. Then the final one today that we're talking about is manufacturing, right? So there's food processing, there's packaging, there is production, and there's renewable energy. I know you've been wondering, renewable energy in agriculture. Yes, renewable energy, renewable energy. Even in the manufacturing part as well, through um, bioeconomy, you're able to just use like biological waste to create value. There's like biochar, which is like biofertilizers. The waste products from So typically, the waste product from one area of agriculture, specifically maybe crop production, can then be utilized to then create fertilizers that sort of helps help the soil regain nutrients, or even help the soil holds moisture when talking like biochar and stuff. So yeah, there's that part to it. So next slide. Please, if you do have any questions, feel free to drop your questions, and the questions will definitely be addressed. So, emerging opportunities across Africa. I know we've talked about this a bit, but I'm just going to quickly run through them as we proceed. So, what are some of the emerging areas that are opportunities? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful emerging areas. So, first off, climate smart agriculture. This is something that like I said earlier, in the last probably 5 to 10 years, that if you go on LinkedIn, you just see a lot of people just talking a lot about this, right? African agricultural landscape is being reshaped by climate change, technology, and new economic models. These three important opportunity areas are already creating businesses, career, and wealth across the continent. Remember, our conversation today is still our conversation today is still building resilience, right? Because if you know that something is going to pay off, you'd have the patience to wait and to be consistent with it, right? So, and I'm telling you some of the areas that you could definitely look out for, and that are also emerging opportunities, right? So, climate smart agriculture. Climate change is creating urgent demand for resilient crop, uh, climate advisory service, precision irrigation, and regenerative agricultural practice. The future farmer is a climate entrepreneur, someone who builds solutions that helps community adapt and thrive despite environmental challenges. So, environmental challenges is already here. So, what are you going to do about it? Right? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? So, um, nowadays you even see like a lot of businesses try as much as possible to also incorporate one or more of the SDG goals in what they do, right? Whether it's like public business or private business, they try as much as possible to do that. Everybody has sort of become more environment conscious, right? The next opportunity is circular economy, which is something that Africa Integrative Agriculture Network is very big on. Waste is becoming wealth. Consider cassava, for instance. In cassava, in itself of its value chain, especially in Nigeria, most people think of cassava and just think of gari or think of fufu or think of starch. Do you know that there's an element in cassava that it's being used in Brazil for baby food? Do you know that there's an element in cassava that is being used in Brazil for baby food? Do you also know there's an element in cassava that is being used to um as a, what's this thing called? We use them in makeup for women. It's like primer. So primer is like what you put on your face before you put your foundation and your setting powder to ensure that your makeup sticks for a long time. There's an element within cassava that can be used for that, right? There's also ethanol from cassava as well, right? But the average person thinks of cassava and thinks of it as just gari, fufu, or starch. But way beyond that, people are exporting those elements of cassava, right? Another big producer of cassava in the world is also Brazil, not just Nigeria, right? So even cassava peel can be used as and processed again and then used for animal feed, So yes, even that can then be used for animal feed, right? So waste is becoming wealth, and consider cassava value chain. Peels become animal feed, and then biochar, and then organic fertilizer, and then biogas, and then packaging. The future belongs to businesses that eliminate waste by finding productive use for every byproduct in agricultural system. The third opportunity is agricultural technology, right? Technology is transforming agriculture at an unprecedented speed. A satellite monitoring, Internet of Things sensor, mobile advisory platform, blockchain, drone mapping, and digital markets are making agriculture instantly or increasingly data driven. Excuse me, increasingly data driven. Every layer of the value chain is being reimagined by technology. Every area of the value chain is being reimagined by technology. So yeah. So next up is value addition, carbon and bioeconomy. Just in case this is your first time of hearing about these things, I'm just gonna try as quick as possible to break them down. Value addition, carbon and bioeconomy. Opportunity 4, right? Food processing. Africa exports raw materials and imports finished products, and this is where value is lost. The future lies in processing. Instead of cocoa, can we make chocolate? Instead of cassava, can we make industrial starch? Instead of tomatoes, can we make our own tomato paste? Instead of maize, make breakfast cereal. Value addition creates wealth by keeping economic benefit of processing on the continent. Fifth opportunity is carbon market. Healthy soil captures carbon, and farmers are increasingly benefiting from the climate-related financing mechanism. Africa has millions of hectares suitable for regenerative practices. Carbon is becoming a real economic opportunity, one that rewards farmers for stewardship of the land rather than just the volume of crop they produce. The sixth opportunity is bioeconomy. Africa possesses abundant biological resources. The future belongs the future includes bioplastic, bioenergy, biofertilizers, biochemical, biochar, and biomaterial. Agriculture increasingly interacts with manufacturing, industrial innovation, creating an entire new category of products and business that did not exist before. So, one of the things as you listen to me today that I want you to sort of reflect on is ask yourself, if agriculture disappeared today, what business disappears with it? The answer reveals how deeply agriculture supports every sector of the economy, like I earlier stated. Agriculture is the lifeblood of the economy, whether we like to believe it or not, but it is. It is the lifeblood of the economy, whether we like to believe it or not, right? And so now, I'm now going to the main gist of the hour, which is building a resilient mind. This is the main gist of the hour. Building a resilient mind. Building a resilient mind, right? So when we talk about building a resilient mind, which is building resilience in our cultural practice, I know it took me probably 30 minutes to get to this point, but I believe that you've learned something new today. Um, yeah. So when we talk about building resilient mind, um, what exactly are we talking about, and what exactly do we mean? Opportunities are useless without the right mindset. Knowledge opens doors, but mindset keeps them open. Knowledge opens doors, but mindset keeps them open. The characteristics below defines a person or the people who thrive in uncertainty, fast-changing environments, and that's exactly the kind of people that are required in agriculture. Exactly the kind of environment Africa's agricultural innovation ecosystem presents, because there's so much uncertainty, like I said. There's so much uncertainty. I've heard cases of people that they had 2,000 birds and they went to sleep. By the next day they came, their poultry was flooded, and all 2,000 birds died. All 2,000. And that's millions. Aye, millions down the drain. Or somebody that would say that they planted and it's almost harvest season and their farm got flooded. That's millions down the drain. You have to have resilient mind to be able to survive that. You definitely need a resilient mind to be able to survive that. So, when we talk about building resilient mind in our culture, the first thing you need to have is that, first of all, the resilient mind in our culture, that resilient mind needs to embrace uncertainty. You have to embrace uncertainty. It's a necessity. It's a necessity. The world changes quickly, and resilient people adapt faster. They do not wait for conditions to be perfect before they act. They do not wait for opportunity. You have to just embrace uncertainty. The next is that they solve problems. If you really want to be resilient in your agricultural practice, you have to be a problem solver. In fact, in any occupation or any business or in any career, you definitely need to become a problem solver. You definitely need to become a problem solver for you to make the most, for you to be able to make the most, for you to be able to make the most out of that profession or out of that career. You have to be a problem solver. Successful people ask what problems need solving, not where can I find a job. It's okay to have a job actually, but even within your job, there'll be challenges, right? Like I said earlier, when we started out this conversation today, I said to you that every problem or every challenge in itself is an opportunity in disguise. I think it was Bishop Yeribo that said, um, opportunity disguise looking like work. There's a way he coined that quote too. Well, it's something along the lines that sometimes opportunity disguises at work as work. So most people will just ignore them, but that's an opportunity, but they ignore it because it comes in the clothing of work. Like you have to, be diligent about something to be able to sort of access it, right? So this single shift in thinking changes everything about how you approach, your work or your career, particularly in this context of agriculture. Remember, we're talking about building resilience in agricultural practice. You have to be a problem solver. The next thing, you have to be someone that is a continuous learner. I think it was I'm not sure if it was World Economic Forum. Yeah, I think it was World Economic Forum reports. I'm not sure if it's 2025 or 2026 that talked about, and they talked about one of the key top 10 skills for 2026 or 2025 to 2030 was going to be continuous learning. So it's a skill now. Like you don't have a choice. Just being a voracious reader or learner, it's something that's going to help you. So even in agricultural practice, right? You have to be willing to be given to knowledge, given to, regardless of the practice that you're in or the profession or the career that you're in. This also comes in handy. So don't think of it that because it's agriculture, you could go get away with it. No. Today's degree is tomorrow's starting point. Learning never ends. The most valuable professionals are those who treat every experience as a classroom. Take note of that line. The most valuable professionals are those who treat every experience as a classroom. Think about that. So the next thing for you to be able to build a resilient mind is that you have to build before you are ready. Is you have to build before you're ready. So what does this look like? Perfection delays progress. Progress creates mastery, right? The people who move forward are those who start before they feel completely prepared, right? You just have to start out and you keep, in business you hear people talk about iterations, right? Iterations simply speaks to the fact that you're making um requisite changes. It speaks to the fact that you're making requisite changes as you go. You're making requisite changes as you go. So you have to be willing to build before you're ready. Just start and you start making progress. You iterate. I think it was Zuckerberg that talked about the fact that ideas does not come fully formed. As you start it, you then discover that, oh, I think we need to change this process. I think we need to do it like this. We need to do this. We need to do this. But if you don't start, you wouldn't have the opportunity to be able to make those changes, right? A person that has a resilient mind or being resilient in agricultural practice is that understand that you fail forward. So what does this look like? Failure becomes feedback. Even in NLP, which is neuro linguistic practitioner, yes, which I am a practitioner of it, is that I was taught is a body of work in psychology. That we're taught that nothing means anything except the meaning you ascribe to it, and that failure is simply feedback. And that's true, right? In any career, not just agriculture, this will also come in very handy to you. You must understand that failure is feedback. Every entrepreneur experiences setback, right? Resilience means continuing despite them and extracting the lessons along the way from each of the setbacks. You have to be able to extract the lessons. You have to be able to extract the lessons, regardless of what it is that, simply seems as a problem. As you observe and look at it, there's always a silver lining. You might not be able to see it at first, but as you critically examine it, you'd be able to see that. So even within agricultural practice, there's also that need for you to be resilient in your mind. Yeah, you have to. You have to be resilient in your mind. And the next is you think long term, right? Building resilience in the practice, you have to think long term, not just short term, not just for today, not just for 6 months, not just for 1 year, 5 years. You have duration, right? But think about the long haul. And so what are the similar little steps you can take that will help you get there? Many people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10. Patience and consistency compounds over time. Remember, I told you guys that one of the greatest capital that agriculture requires of you, as much as it requires like financials, like there's also patience capital. So regardless of what it is, so when you think long term as well, There's also that need for patience and consistency. I think it was Warren Buffett that talked about the fact that you can't make a baby in 1 month by impregnating 9 women. You can't make a baby in 1 month by impregnating 9 women. Each of them are still going to go through the normal gestation period of 9 months, right? So you can't say, oh, I want the process to be fast, and you then go and impregnate 9 women and say within a month you have a baby. No. So the same thing as well, building resilience, you need to understand that there's the need to be forward minded, think long term. There's the need for that. There's the need to think long term for that. I have a question here to just ask. It says, write down one challenge you've experienced, right? And what you did, and what that whole challenge taught you, and how has it made you stronger. Remember, every setback contains a lesson. Every setback in itself contains a lesson, right? So, building a career beyond farming. When we talk about it, I think I keep saying it that this conversation we're having today is building resilience in agricultural practice, right? And like I said when I started out, is for you to be resilient, you have to be fully convinced about what it is that you're about. You have to be fully persuaded. As I've said, persuaded, I'm reminded about Abraham in the Bible. Scripture talking about Abraham says, who against hope believe in hope? Because he was fully persuaded. So in building resilience, whether it's in agriculture or any field, but this our conversation today is about agriculture, you have to have conviction, you have to have resilience. And so building a career beyond just farming, right? What are some of the things you have to be cognizant of? The future belongs to a portfolio career. You may become a consultant, a researcher, a podcaster, an investor, a startup founder, a sustainability manager, a policy advisor, a product manager, an educator, or even a digital content creator, all connected to agriculture. The key is to identify the problem you want to solve and then build around it. Your starting point is to identify the problem you want to solve and then build around it. So what are some of the things you must ask yourself? 4 career questions. These 4 questions from the foundation of agricultural entrepreneurship. Walk through them in this order. Each of them builds upon the other. What problem interests you the most? What's from your observation within the field, within the 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 agricultural ecosystem? What problems interest you the most? That's number one. The second one is, please do ensure you answer the first question before you move to the second, right? The second one is, who experiences those problems? So who are the people that this problem majorly affects the most? Who are these people? Who? Then you see that, like I said earlier, when we're having this conversation, that technology is an enabler. You see that we didn't start out with the technology part of, the solution, right? Technology simply helps to scale and amplify already deciphered solutions. Can technology improve it? So what's this improvement? Can it make it bigger, grander, better, right? So can technology improve it? Can you build a business around 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 it? These are 4 important questions you want to ask yourself. 4 important questions. Remember, building beyond farming. I talk a lot much more about this in my book, Agriculture Beyond Farming, right? Building beyond farming. What problems interest you the most? Who experiences this problem? Can technology improve it? And can you build a business out of it? Can you build a business out of it? So, within your lifetime as an agricultural practitioner, right? You would have several portfolios. So don't feel the need to allow yourself be boxed. You'd have by several people, I mean that within the career paths, there would have been several what's the word now? You'd have gone through several phases and stages. several phases and stages, right? Some of which will include consulting for agribusiness, research in crop science or food system, hosting agricultural podcasts and newsletter, investor investing early in an agri-tech startup, founding a company that solves a specific problem, uh, managing sustainability programs for corporate, advising governments on agricultural policy, building digital products for farmers, educating the next generation, and creating content that shapes the narrative. So you see, there's so much work to be done. So much work beyond just in agriculture. There's so much work beyond just cultivation of the land and rearing of animals. I hope you're getting value from this session today. Please feel free to ask your questions, drop your questions in the chat, and I will definitely take the questions after the session. And for those that have joined us, thank you so much for being here with us today. All right. Why the ecosystem and the network matters, right? Because, see, let me tell you, one of the things I've also realized in my life's journey is as you are going off or you have chosen a certain part of life or part in life, it will best serve you to be around people that are also doing similar things as yourself. And the best place to actually be is a place or a space where you have people that are above you, you have people that are also your peers where you guys are at the same level, and you have people that are a little bit below you. Why this is important? Because those above you will give you context, will give you encouragement, will help you see, they'll give you like an aerial perspective. So what that means in English is aerial is, you know, when have you seen all those drone shots when they take a picture from above, like an helicopter level? What you're seeing from above is different from what you're seeing when you're here at the eye level. So a person that has gone above you, when you're having certain challenges or problems, they're able to help you see that they don't worry, this too shall pass. Don't worry, you won't die. Because trust me, in every business or career, or even as an entrepreneur, you come to that point where you'd ask yourself, in local palace, they would say, who sent me? Like you second guess yourself, you doubt yourself, you feel like, am I supposed to be doing this? Am I wasting my time? Does anybody appreciate this? Da 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 da. Right? So having those people that are above you within the ecosystem or the network helps you. People that are at your level, you guys are able to, encourage yourself in the Lord. There's certain things I say and it makes me remember certain stories from the Bible. As I said, encourage yourself in the Lord. I'm reminded of the story of David. When he and his men had probably gone out for war, and before they came back, they had invaded them. And the Bible says, and David encouraged himself in the Lord. Yes, you definitely need that. You definitely need that. So there's that need, because resilience sometimes on your own you can get demotivated, but if you're within a community or an ecosystem or a network of people that are also moving along the lines of similar things you're trying to achieve, there's a bit of consolation or encouragement that comes from those people telling or sharing their stories with you. Makes you feel like, have that sense of belonging, makes you feel like, oh, you're not alone with this, your mission or vision, you're not alone in it, right? So that's important. So no one succeeds alone. Innovation grows where people collaborate. Think about Silicon Valley, for instance, in the US, right? It's not just companies. It's an ecosystem of universities, investors, government, mentors, accelerators, and even community. Africa needs strong ecosystem. And so what's an ecosystem? So there's researchers and universities, there's governments and policies, there's farmer startups, there's cooperative and investors, there's development partners, and there's media, and there's youth. These groups work together and they form the innovation accelerators, right? Why network creates opportunity? A network creates information, membership, funding, employment, partnership, visibility, and trust. One conversation can change your career. So, activities to build your network. This is what I need you to do. Kindly write this down. 3 people you should meet this year within the ecosystem, within your practice. 3 people you need to meet this year. 1 community you need to join, and 1 event you need to attend. Your network often shapes the opportunities more than your resume does. So I'll tell you a personal story about you know, just it does that for you. Um, so I'll tell you this. When I started Iron, right? I think I started out just writing like the newsletters. But at the time, I think that for me, it wasn't getting as much traction as I would like it to get. Right? Then I started out the podcast. And that helped me connect. I think now I have over 65 episodes across the four region of the continent. That's like North, East, West, and South Africa, right? And I've met these people, I've not met them physically, but I've met them virtually, right? And in the course of our interactions and engagements, most of them that have gone ahead of me in this work have been able to, like, okay, I think you should do this, I think you should do this, I think you should do this, I think you should do this. Most of them have also been able to sort of encourage me, um, giving some referrals to say, oh, I think this person is also doing great work. You want to speak to them. Yeah. So why am I doing the AIAN podcast? Is because I want many young Africans, right, to know that there is so much opportunities for them within agriculture. There's opportunity in tech, there's opportunity in finance, but there's also opportunity in agriculture, right? I bet you when I talked about those 6 areas, like technology, business, manufacturing, um, sustainability, and even finance, and explained some of the paths that are within those 6 major areas, best believe that you've never heard of those things before, right? But guess what? If I didn't take the time to like start out that ecosystem or the network itself, I wouldn't have been able to access those 65 people that I've interviewed on the podcast and even know some of the great, amazing stuff they are doing around the continent. And most importantly, they are very young people under 45, very young people, right? So that's why ecosystem is important. So one of the key things you need to take out of this particular slide is to build your network. Please write this down. 3 people you should meet this year, 1 community you should be part of, and 1 event you should attend this year. Think about that critically. Think about that. Excuse me, critically. You want to think about that critically, right? So, the future of African agriculture, and we're almost going to getting to the end of this session today. Excuse me. Yeah. So the future. So, the future of African agriculture. There's so many areas, right? So many areas. Just in case you're listening to me and you've not been able to decide what area you want to focus on, right? So that you're able to build with resilience. I'll tell you some areas. There's resilience, systems. There's digital agriculture. There's circular economy. There's youth-led innovation. There's climate resilience. There's biotechnology. There's there's trade. There's data driven decisions. there's excuse me. There's regenerative agriculture, and there's also entrepreneurship. Right? Yeah. There's also entrepreneurship. Excuse me. So this is some of the areas that you want to look into. And lastly, my final slide is this. So my final slide is the personal challenge. Yeah, the personal challenge. So yeah, I had offered, I think, like 50% off of the book Agriculture Beyond Farming. It's 50% off. I think I can do that. Am I able to do that today? Yeah, okay. I can do that for the next 24 hours, right? Yeah, so for the next 24 hours, which is like, I will end that by the end of Tuesday morning. So we'll slash the price to half. So yeah, uh, you should be able to get the book. I'll try as much as possible to leave the details of it in the description box. You should be able to get the book within the next, okay, let's just do 48 hours anyways. Within the next 48 hours. That is today, tomorrow, and maybe Wednesday morning. Okay, fine. Wednesday morning. Fair enough. Okay. Should be able to get it 50% off. So instead of paying 5,500, you pay 2,750. I think that's fair. So you get more details about what we shared today. I think that's fair. So and I'd like to leave you with this challenge, which is for the next 90 days. This is something that I really need you to take into cognizance. So within the next 90 days, commit to the following. Learn one, like choose one skill you're going to learn within the that you know that is. Don't just see this. Is another thing you should also understand. Don't just go about learning random skills because people tell you, oh, learn a skill, right? Everything you do has to have a purpose. I think it was King Solomon that said in Ecclesiastes, he says, I don't think it's probably Ecclesiastes or Proverbs. He wrote those two books, anyways. So, he says, for everything under the sun, there is is in Ecclesiastes. That one that talks about a time to be born, a time to die, a time to laugh, a time to refrain from laughing, a time to be merry, a time to be sad. Yeah, it's in Ecclesiastes. I think it's Ecclesiastes 3, right? It says for everything under the sun, there's a purpose to it. So even when you are learning skills or anything it is that you're trying to be involved with, always ask yourself, what's your why? I think Simon Sinek even wrote a book about it. Why? What's your why? And so even if I'm telling you now, I'm encouraging you to say, oh, try and learn like a skill within the next 90 days. Make sure that whatever you're learning is going to help solve an impending challenge or challenge that you have or challenge that you've observed in your environment that you want to prefer solutions to. Don't just go about learning anything. It has to be a means to an end. It has to be helping you solve a particular problem. So yeah, think about it critically, right? So don't just say, oh, you heard me talk about today that go learn, no. Think about it very critically, right? Think about it critically. So learn one new skill in the next 90 days, right? Attend one industry event, read one agriculture book, which is also that's why I'm making this available to you at half the price because you attended today. Read one book, connect with 5 professionals, right? Because remember we talked about the importance of ecosystem and network, right? So connect with one professional. You can definitely do that. Just go on LinkedIn, right? I don't even know why most people are not maximizing the benefit that comes with LinkedIn. So much benefit, so much benefit, right? Go on LinkedIn, type on the search bar agriculture. You just see different people. You see people that are into research, people that are into bioeconomy, people that are into circular economy, people that are into climate smart agriculture, people that are into agri-tech. There's just a plethora of people, right? So people you can easily follow them. Some people you can connect with them. Personally, I prefer to connect than to follow. Just in case I need to send you a message, it's easier when you've connected with the person and it gets follow. Because follow, I don't even know whether they see your messages, but with connect, you're able to, and if they accept the connection, you're able to send them like a straight DM and they'll see it. So yeah, so yes, that's another thing you need to do. Start one small project. Just one small project. It might not necessarily be a grand thing. Just start one small project. I tell you for free, like when this podcast started, it was just a desire to just want more young people to see that there are many young people on the continent doing tremendous work. And today we have over 65 episodes. We have over 20,000 listeners. I think four across 4 continents. And ideally, my goal was just Africa. So yeah, but it started as just me just wanting to share communications, right? Just share. So yeah, start with that. Then document your learnings publicly, which is also something that it's very important, particularly in the social media age. Share your learnings, not just on your WhatsApp status, share it on Twitter, share it on LinkedIn, share it on Instagram, on your Facebook. People get to recognize you and know that that's who you are and what you're about. Small, consistent actions create remarkable results over time. I need you to remember this. The future of African agriculture will not be built solely by the government or large corporation. It will be built by young people who choose to solve meaningful problems. Remember, every problem is an opportunity. There's always a silver lining in every challenge that is before you. You just have to be able to look for it, identify it, and then choose to exploit that challenge, right? Your greatest asset is not your degree, as much as degrees are important. In fact, I have 3 degrees. One in property management, one in agriculture, and one in business, right? Degrees are important. I'm not part of those criteria of people that say school NASCAR can never be me, God forbid. I'm going to get a fourth one, which is like doctorate, right? So your degree is one level of asset, right? But do not allow that stop you from keep learning, especially if you're still like an undergraduate person. Don't allow it to stop you, because there's so much more is happening in the world, and you have to be able to stay abreast with relevant information, because if you don't stay abreast with relevant information, you're going to be left behind, trust me. So your greatest asset in this 21st century, in fact in this AI age, is your ability to learn. Remember I told you guys that World Economic Forum said that one of the top 10 skills is continuous learning, is one of the top skills. So, so you have to know that your greatest asset right now is your ability to keep learning. Your greatest opportunity is not your job, of which your job gives you an opportunity to give expression to your inherent talents and ability, right? But your greatest opportunity right now is a problem that you have decided to solve. It's a problem that you've decided to solve. Trust me, by just merely working on AIAN, I've gotten into spaces that my 9 to 5 didn't take me into. So yeah. So your greatest opportunity is in the problem you decide to solve. And your greatest investment is not just your money, right? What is it? It is your mindset. Your greatest investment is your mindset. And so that's why you have to invest in your mind. The greatest opportunity is your mindset. So that's why you have to invest in your mind. Agriculture is larger than just production. It starts with creating systems, building businesses, embracing technology, growing partnerships, and providing solutions that impact lives. The future belongs to the resilient mind who is willing to take advantage of opportunities that comes their way. The future belongs to people who will solve problems and not just people who possess informations. So yeah, the future belongs to people who would solve problems and not just people who possess informations. Right? So guys, pretty much uh yeah, pretty much. So yeah. So you could definitely get the book. Let me take my okay, so let me remove this from the screen. So yeah, it's been an amazing time sharing with you guys today. It's been an amazing time sharing. It's been an amazing time sharing today. It has been an amazing time. Yeah. So you can get the book um on Seller. This is like seller.com/agriculture beyond farming. Seller.com/agriculture beyond farming. Like I said, I'm going to be giving a 50% discount today to Wednesday. So yeah, do well to get your copy. Do well to get your copy. But it's been an amazing session today. Thank you so much for spending the last hour and a couple of minutes with me. I look forward to having you in another episode. And next episode, I'm definitely going to have a guest with me in the studio. And also, if you do have any questions, feel free to drop your questions in the chat and it will be addressed. If you also do have specific areas you would like us to um, talk about as regards circular economy, regenerative agriculture, please do let us know. And also, sometime in September, we're going to be having the second edition of the AIAN Summit. Yeah, we're going to be having the second edition of the AIAN Summit. Last year, we had our first edition, our maiden edition, in September. This year, we're having it in October. So, yeah, it's something to definitely look forward to. Something to definitely look forward to. So, yeah, so it's been an amazing time um with you guys today. Thank you for staying with me from the beginning of the session till now. I look forward to having you around in the next session. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for coming here to watch the replay. To have a blissful, productive week ahead. Bye for now. Yeah.